Hi everyone, and welcome to Sweet Pieces Inspirations. My name is Sydney and welcome to part 1 of part 2 for the Pretty Please with Cherry on Top shawl. In the first part, we are going to be learning how to do a 4-row repeat, and we are going to be constantly increasing those 4-row repeats. So be mindful of exactly what you're doing and how you're working on one side and the other. I do go through those 4-row repeats with you a few times where we are constantly going to be increasing. You do want to be mindful exactly what you are doing and where you are placing your stitches. Again, I go through how to increase and go through the 4-row repeats with you throughout this tutorial. So part number 2 will come out in a week. So this video is going to be published on February 4th of 2024. The second part is going to be published on February 11th. So if you are watching this after February 11th, then you don't have to worry about that. But the second part will be published on February 11th of 2024. And that's going to be both at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now in part 2, we'll go over the trim work, which I'm not going to talk about that right now. So some things that you are going to need for this shawl is, first off, your yarn choice. Now this is Sultan Pastello, I think it is. I'm not exactly for sure what colorway. I think it might be number 6. It did come from Hobbi, or not Hobby Lobby, but Hobbi. You can find this off of Hobbi's website, and one of the cakes does consist of 875 yards. Now we'll probably only need about 500 yards, maybe a little bit more than that, but I would say no more than 600 yards. This is a sport weight. So you can really use whatever kind of yarn that you would like, as long as it is a sport weight. Now the hook that I am using today is going to be a 4mm hook. I went up in size of hook to give it a little bit more drapier. But if you need to go down on a size of hook, or even up in a size, that is completely optional and customized to you. I did not do a gauge swatch with this because it really doesn't matter with a shawl. It is a pretty decent sized shawl. I do wear about a large, extra large size shirt in the United States, and you will see in the pictures of how big it is. So you will definitely also need some scissors, a tapestry or darning needle to weave in your ends, and of course you are going to need to block the shawl once it is completed. Now there is a few ways that you can block your shawl, which sometimes I will use like a spray that I've gotten from Walmart, and I have it here with me. This is the spray that you can pick up at Walmart, or you can make your own starch by taking some cornstarch and boiled water and mixing that in. But I think that is really all that we need to know to get started off on our shawl. If you do have any questions, comments, or concerns, my email will be down in the description box. And also, if you do find a problem that does need to be corrected throughout this tutorial, please feel free to either leave a comment or email me. That way I can correct it and other people can see that. Go ahead and start off with a chain of 7. So this is going to count as our first double crochet, and then a chain 3. And in that very first chain that we made, which is right before that slip stitch, or not slip stitch, but slip knot, we are going to place a double crochet, 4 double crochets into that stitch. So go ahead and place 4 double crochets into that very first chain, which is right before the slip knot. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're going to chain 1, and then we are going to place another 4 double crochets into that same space. So what this is doing is giving us the shape of the triangle shawl, and also this is going to be our center part of the shawl as well, which will never change. So after you have both sets of the 4 double crochets with that chain 1 in the middle, we are going to chain 3. So 1, 2, and 3. We're going to go into that same chain and we are going to place another double crochet. So the double crochet chain 3 is going to be our first row repeating row. And throughout this pattern, we are going to be constantly increasing. The ends of our shawl are never going to change. Those are always going to be the same. So for the first row repeat, you will have always a double crochet. Now for the second row repeat, you'll always start off with a chain of 3. So go ahead and start off with a chain of 3, turn your work, and now we are going to place another 3 double crochets into that double crochet from the previous row. So that chain 3, 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet, and 3 double crochet. So now we are going to chain 3 again. So now where this 4 double crochet here is our second row repeat, now we are starting again back on the first row repeat. So in this chain 3, we are going to find the middle chain and we are going to place a double crochet. So what we're doing here is we are starting our increases. So after you have that double crochet, we are going to chain 3 again. So now we should be in the middle and we are going to place our middle stitches, which is the 4 double crochets into that chain 1 space. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're going to go ahead and chain 1 and then go ahead and place another 4 double crochets into that same space. So again, that is always going to be our center part of the shawl. And once you have gotten that center part completed, we are going to start off, or we're going to do a chain of 3 again. We're going to find that middle chain and place a double crochet. Again, we are starting off the first row repeat again. We're going to go ahead and chain 3 again. And then we are going to find the top of that chain 3. So 1, 2, and 3. And we are going to place 4 double crochets into that space. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that is the second row repeat, which is, you will see that a little bit more once we go through this pattern. So for the third row, we are going to start off with a chain 3 again. Go ahead and turn your work. And in this double crochet this time, we are going to place 4 double crochets instead of 3. And that double crochet, that chain 3 is always going to count as a double crochet. So we have that chain 3, and now we're going to place 4 double crochets into that first double crochet from the previous row. So 1 chain 3, 2 double crochets, 3, and 4. So now if you were to count these would be 5. So now we are going to start off with a chain of 3. So 1, 2, and 3. And so now we're going to go to this double crochet that's got the chain 3 on both sides, which is our first row repeat. Now we're going to do the second row repeat, which is we're going to do a chain of 3. And then we are going to find the chain that is right before that double crochet, and we are going to place 4 double crochets into that stitch. So 1, 2, 3 and 4. And then we are going to chain 1. We're going to skip this double crochet and we're going to go to the next chain, which is the first chain of that chain 3, and we are going to place 4 double crochets into that space. So it's going to look like the middle piece or the middle section of the shawl. So 1, 2, 3 and 4. Now you want to make sure that you are going into the chain and not around the chain, because then if you go around the chain, it's not going to look 100% correct. So now go ahead and start off with a chain of 3. We're going to find that chain 1 for our middle section and go ahead and work your middle. So again, the 4 double crochets in the chain 1, chain 1, and 4 double crochets. So whatever we did on this side, we are going to do on this side now. So we are going to start off with a chain of 3. We're going to go into that first, or that chain 3, or that chain from the chain 3 before the double crochet. So go into that chain and place a 4 double crochet into that chain. Go ahead and chain 1, skip that double crochet, and we're going to go into that chain after the double crochet. Again, go into the chain and not around the chain. Again, it would not look 100% correct if you go around instead of in. And once you have all 4 double crochets, we're going to chain 3, and then we are going to go into that chain 3 that we made at the beginning of the last row, and we are going to place 5 double crochets into that space. So now we are on the 4th row. So we are going to start off the 4th row by chaining 4. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Go ahead and turn your work. And we are going to go ahead and skip over to, we're going to skip these these 5 double crochets, and we're going to go to the chain 3, and we're going to find the middle, and we're going to go ahead and start off that first row repeat again. So which is the chain 3 double crochet and then a chain 3 on the other side. And now we are going to go to the where it's got the 4 double crochets, the chain 1, and the 4 double crochets around or right beside of the double crochet from that first row repeat. This is the 2nd row repeat. So now for the 3rd row repeat, in that chain 1 space, we are going to place 5 double crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then we are going to chain 3 again. Now I want to stop right here and kind of explain this a little bit. So how we've already started working this is for pretty much our setup rows to get us started on the repeating rows and increasing. We did on the sides the 4-row repeats already, and as you can tell, are constantly doing a different part of the 4-row repeat. So right here we have started a row 1, the first row repeat, which is the double crochet with the chain 3s around it, and then we are finishing off this 3rd row repeat. So during this pattern, you're going to be constantly changing, or it's going to be constantly different of which row repeat you are on. So like I said, here we're on the 1st row repeat, but here we're on the 3rd row repeat. Like here we were on the 2nd row repeat, and we were on the 3rd row repeat. So you're going to always kind of constantly be 1 or 2 behind when you're increasing. So this is how your project should look. I hope that makes sense and isn't confusing anybody. And maybe throughout this video at a different point, or some point during this video, I'll actually show you exactly what the repeating rows look like a little bit better. So we're going to go ahead and continue working this pattern. So after you have that 5 double crochets into that chain 1 and the chain 3, we're going to go to the next double. Now go ahead, after you've got your chain 3, we are going to go to the next chain 3, and in that middle chain we are going to place a double crochet. So now we are starting the chain, or the 1st row repeat over again, and now we are going to chain 3, and we're going to skip these 4 double crochets, go into that chain 1 and place your 4 double crochets. Chain 1, and then place another 4 double crochets into that chain 1 space. Again, this is our center part of our shawl. And now whatever we did on one side, we do have to do to the other, and that is extremely important throughout this pattern, because if you don't do the same, you will risk the chance of increasing more on one side than the other, and it will kind of throw off the pattern. So now we are going to start off with a chain of 3, go into that middle chain of the next chain 3, so we're skipping these 4 double crochets, and place a double crochet, and then chain 3 again. Now we're going to go into the next chain 1 space of the 2 sets of the 4 double crochets, and we are going to place 5 double crochets into that space. So now this is the 3rd row repeat. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5. So 5 double crochets into that chain 1 space. Go ahead and chain 3 again, and then now we're going to go into the middle chain 3 of the next and place a double crochet. So again, this is the chain, or the 1st row repeat. Chain 3 again, and now we are going to go to that chain 3 space that we made at the beginning of the previous row, and we are just going to place a single crochet into that stitch. Now we are going to start back over the 1st row repeat. So we are going to start off with a chain of 6. So that is going to count as our double crochet. The first chain 3 is going to count as a double crochet, and then the 3 extra stitches are going to count as a chain 3. So for the edge, we have started back over on the first row repeat. Now once we get to this 5 double crochets into this chain 1 space here, we are going to finish off with the 4th row repeat, and I'll show you how to do that. So after you've got your chain of 6, we are going to go into this chain right before the double crochet, and we are going to start the 2nd row repeat, which is the 4 double crochets into that chain. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're going to go ahead and chain 1, skip that double crochet, go into the next chain of the chain 3, and place 4 double crochets into that space. So once you have that made, this is how it should look. Again, this is the 1st row repeat starting off of the edge, 2nd row, and now we are going to go to the 4th row repeat, which is going to be always right over top of this 5 double crochet here. And we are going to do a chain of 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So now we're going to skip these 5 double crochets. We're going to go into this chain space right before the next double crochet, and we're going to do the 2nd row repeat over again, which is the 4 double crochets into that chain. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, chain 1, and then go skip this double crochet and then go into that chain and place another 4 double crochets. So real quick, we are going to pause here and let me show you exactly how the all 4 row repeats are going to look. So here, right here is a perfect example. So you have the 1st row repeat, which is the double crochet with the chain 3s, and then you have the 4 double crochets, chain 1, 4 double crochets going right beside of that double crochet, and then in that chain 1 space of the 2nd row repeat, we have the 3rd row repeat, which is 5 double crochets, and then over top of that 5 double crochets, which is the 4th row repeat, is that chain of 7. So that is what we are going to continue repeating throughout this pattern. And while we're doing that, like I've mentioned multiple times in this tutorial, we are going to be constantly increasing to really make it as a shawl. And like I've stated also, we're going to constantly be on different repeating rows throughout this pattern while we're increasing. So let's say whenever we go back around to the next row for this one, in this chain of 7, we are actually going to start off the 1st row repeat again of the 4. So we're going to continue doing that. So hopefully that kind of makes a little bit more sense. And I hope you guys are making sense of this. I'm trying to explain it as best as I can. If at any point in time you do need help, you can feel free to email me, which my email will be down in the description box for you guys. If anytime you need any help, please feel free. So we'll get back to the tutorial. So after you have the 4 double crochets, chain 1, 4 double crochets, we are going to chain 3. We're going to skip these 4, go into that chain 1 space. So now we are back at our center piece, and we're going to do the exact same thing of what we have been doing throughout this tutorial. So 4 double crochets, with a chain 1, 4 double crochets. So again, whatever we do on one side, we must do on the other side. So we are going to start off with a chain of 3, and then we are going to go to the chain right before that double crochet and place a 4 double crochet with a chain 1. Chain 1, go ahead and skip that next double crochet, go into the next chain, and sometimes that chain can be a little hard to see, but making sure you get into that chain as best as you can, and go ahead and place 4 double crochets. And now, since we will be starting the 4th row repeat over top of this 5 double crochets, we're going to always chain 7. So 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Making sure you're always skipping this 5 double crochets. Go into the chain right before that double crochet. And place your 4 double crochets into that chain. Chain 1, skip that double crochet, and then we are going to go into the next chain and place 4 double crochets. Go ahead and chain 3, so 1, 2, and 3. Now in that very first chain, which is, if you look at it from right to left, it will be the very last, or if you're looking for left to right, it is going to be the very first chain. But we are going to place a double crochet into that stitch. So now that we have went through all 4 row repeats, we're going to just continue doing that until we get a total of how many ever rows, and I'll give that to you in a minute. But we're just going to continue repeating those, and I'm going to go over the first row repeat with you guys again, where we have done all 4 rows, and after that I will kind of leave you guys to it. It's a little self-explanatory. You do have to pay attention to what you're doing, and like I said, the most important thing is to making sure whatever you're doing on one side you are doing to the other, or else you will risk the chance again of increasing more on one side than the other. So after we have gotten our double crochet into that chain, we are going to start off with a chain of 3. So now for our edge, this is going to be the 2nd row repeat. Go ahead and turn your work, and now in that double crochet we are going to place 3 double crochets into that space. So 1, 2, and 3. We're going to go ahead and chain 3. We're going to go into that middle chain of the chain 3 from the previous row and place a double crochet. Go ahead and chain 3. Now we're going to go into that chain 1 space and place 5 double crochets into that space. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We're going to chain 3. Now we are going to go into that middle chain of the chain 7. So it should be chain of 4, the 4th chain. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So yeah, the 4th chain, which is the middle chain of the chain 7. Go ahead and place a double crochet, chain 3, and then now we're going to go to that chain 1 space and place 5 double crochets into that chain 1 all the way, and we're going to just continue repeating that until we get to our middle. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So again, chain 3. So we're just right now continue going with the flow of the pattern. So chain 3, go into that middle chain and place a double crochet, chain 3, and now we have made it to our center. And go ahead, we can go ahead and do your center. Chain 1 and 4 double crochets. So again, whatever we do on one side, we must do to the other side. So chain of 3, go into that middle chain 3 of the previous row and place a double crochet, chain 3, go into that chain 1 space and place 5 double crochets into that space, chain 3. Now go into the middle chain of the chain 7, which is the 4th chain. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Place a double crochet, chain 3, go into that chain 1 and place 5 double crochets. Chain 3, go into the center chain of the chain 3 from the previous row, place a double crochet, and then chain 3, and then go into the top of the chain 3 that counts as a double crochet from the previous row and place 4 double crochets into that space. You'll go ahead and continue those row repeats for a total of 27 rows, and how I counted mine was by the center, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. And I know you can't see the shawl all the way, but this is how the design will start to look. And if you did enjoy this tutorial, please feel free to stick around for part number 2, which is where we will finish up the shawl with our trim work. If you did enjoy this video, please don't forget to give this video a like, share, comment, or subscribe, and I will see you guys for part number 2. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your week, and I will see you then.